Well, it finally happened at about 160,000 miles. This is now my window. So I think something gave way on the regulator on the inside. So I picked up a new inner door panel for this one, and we're just gonna go ahead and start pulling stuff apart and see if we can replace it. So I went ahead and I picked up one of these Duralast brands. This one's from like AutoZone. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it Rock Auto or a bunch of these different places. It's sold under a few different brand names. This one was a little bit under $200, probably like, I think it was like 172 or something shipped here, which I thought was a pretty good deal because if you go to Mopar, you want to buy an original one, they're like $600-700. You can get them a little cheaper on eBay. These, I should say, these are the weak points. This is what breaks on these. They tend to break, and then this cable comes loose, and then you can't get your window up or down. Well, you can't get it up. You can easily get it down. So we're gonna change this out. There's a lot to it. Hopefully it goes pretty smooth. So just follow along, skip ahead if you need to. There should be some chapters down below, to give you a hand when you need it. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start pulling things apart. All right, now that we got that all taped up out of the way, the next thing that we're gonna do is we've got a couple, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these T20 Torx head screws that we need to take out. These are plastic, and they are, kind of like a panel rivet. And so we're gonna unscrew this, and then this will let us pop this out. You see, I'm just doing this by hand. And it's because they are little plastic pieces. And I know the lighting's not the best. It's a hot day. I got it out here. Everything in the shade, working on my GoPro instead of my big camera because I'm trying to beat the heat. But these just come out, and then you can just pop these rivets. You come in here up towards the top. All right, we'll pop that guy out there. And then that is a Phillips head. And we're just gonna unscrew that. And you have a few options here. So you can either pull this out like that, or you could pry it out, just like we're doing everything else. I prefer just popping it out. It's a whole lot easier. Once you have those out, you have the screw out here. You should be able to grab this. Well, hang on before I do that. Let's pull this guy out and let's unplug him. Okay, to unplug, you're just gonna push down on the clip here and pull. There we go. And keep this close by. We're gonna need that later on when we're working on the window. So now I should be able to pull up here. Oh, we gotta get this little bezel out. Ooh, that sounded broken. Okay, so we're just gonna go up and then move our way around. Trying to figure out what I broke, what that little white piece is that's coming down. I think that's a part of my, window regulator. Pull these little windows out to see. Like I said, we'll plug this thing back in. Ooh, it's all crunchy. Yeah, we're gonna pull a speaker. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Looks like 10mm bolts going around here. We got to disconnect this linkage that's going to this. Disconnect this where this connects over here. We have these 3 bolts over here, and then if we come all the way across to the other side over here, if we want to remove this wiring harness and disconnect everything there, we've got a bolt there and a bolt there. It looks like another T20 Torx bit. Yeah, we're gonna start pulling stuff apart, and then we'll be able to get in there and figure out what's going on. I will give you one guess as to what is missing from my socket set, and that is a deep 10mm, but it's all right. We've got a little shorty. All right, and take the speaker out. This is a 5mm. And these here are T30 Torx head, or Torx bit. Yeah, they're not terribly tight. And then back in here, these are the T20 bits. And again, the only reason we took that off is because this is what holds this wiring harness in right here. And so this is how we get this unhooked and we can pull this whole panel off. There we go. And we're just gonna trace this. So this comes up right here with these little squeeze clips. It's really not too difficult. I just push in here and then pull out, right? Same thing here and pull out. Sometimes you might want to get a little pick in there because it might make things easier, but for the most part, it's pretty simple. Right, we got this guy holding it in here, and then we're gonna come over here and we have to pull this out. And then this is connected up in here. This guy here, right, you can't really pry out on that. You gotta squeeze. Yeah, squeeze these together and then and that's how that comes out. This guy here is going through the door panel and it's going to plug in up in here. So in order to do that, I'm gonna pull this off and lower it down just a little bit so I can disconnect this. But this is just a little rubber boot. You know, pull that little rubber boot out, right? It's just a little grommet. And then you can see this clamp here where that's gonna go, and then this is going to go, and I can't show it to you until I pull this down, but this is gonna go up into our door lock mechanism. All right, and for the door handle here, these just pop out like that, and then this just drops down, and then this will come out like that, and then that's gonna go back through that hole. And I'm gonna show you this next part just because mine is broken and different, and you know, yours isn't. I'll show you how to disconnect those window regulator pieces. It's got to be really careful with this, so put some pressure on it when you're taking this tape off. And then we're going to slide this down. And we're going to get it down to where we can see it down here. So this is the clip you have here. You have this one. You have one up here in this hole, right? And this is what's locking your window into the regulator. Same thing back up in here. There it is there. And here it is on this side. So I'm gonna pop those out. Here we go. Once you get that, I could, if I wanted, take this whole window out. All right, get it taped up there again. And now this should come out. Oh yeah, there we go. So now that I can pull this top off, you can see what we're dealing with in here. But those are the clips. There's what, 2 of them? There's an orange one and a red one. You see those? Those have to be undone. There we go. All right, so it's the same idea as the other ones. They just, no, focus. That's where we're focusing. There we go. So now we got those clips undone. This guy just lifts up and out like that. All right, so now all we have to do, we're gonna turn this around, and I have to disconnect this wiring harness here. I don't know if you can see that. All right, for this clip here, you're just gonna slide this up. Come on, there we go. All right, and then once you get that slid up, then you can push down on the back side of it. There we go, and it comes out. Sorry, my gut's getting in the way. Then once we do that, we can pull this out of its little pathway, pull it back through, stick it through here. Come on. All right, there we go. So you can see what my problem was. This is what my problem was. That little guy right there, that's it. I've had this problem before, and I would just reach down in there and snap that wire back up and over, and it would work. It's just, you know, everything let go now. So couldn't do that anymore. But this thing's been put through the paces. So we gotta go. We gotta take this guy off here. He just slides out. Put it into the new one. Run this into the new one. And then we should be good to put everything back in here. Because I don't have to swap out the window motor or anything on this one. So let's head to the back of the truck. All right, so we can compare these. You can see how these compare. You know, everything looks the same to me. It's just these little plastic wheels. You know, these wheels, these guide wheels that everybody complains about. So we're gonna pull this guy off. In order to do that, we need to pull this off. Looks like I also need this little rubber grommet here. So take that little rubber grommet, and it's just gonna transfer straight back over here. All right. This guy is gonna come like this, and then this, well, got a clip here, just like all the other ones. It pushes down. All right. So now we can take this guy. There's a grommet back here that this went through. Let's take that grommet. Right, it goes in this hole on the other side. And these just push in. You just kind of finagle them in. All right, let me take that guy and put that back down there because we are about to swap the motor out. So here's the piece, right? And here are the, you see those little clips? You see where they're at? You see how they lock it into place? Those need to be expanded, right, with the screwdriver here. And then this whole thing will slide out. Just gotta get creative there. And then it just goes right back in over here. Right, we'll run this back where it goes, back through this hole. Okay, lift this up out of the way. And then this just slides back through this slot and locks into place. And I do this all at once. Like while I'm disconnecting all this stuff, like I'm not gonna go have lunch or, you know, take a break. Like I'm gonna do this all at once. So I remember exactly what I'm doing. All right, once we get this guy slid back into place over here, right, and we got that done, this snaps into there, snaps into here, and then goes right back into here, right? And I can't get that in there until I lock this into place over here. So again, just line up the grooves. There we go. And you can see how that goes. And then this will go into the handle. But now, I can push this into place here. And there. Okay, and that's just going to stop everything from interfering with all this stuff here, right? Just keeps it up and out of the way. All right, so now we are ready to go ahead and put this back on there. We have to connect these two guys down on the back side, right? And then we should be on our way to having a window again. This larger one, we're gonna save that. We're gonna do that last, right? And then this guy though, he's gonna go in there. Then we lock that back into place. There, got it. Sorry, I had to pull the camera down to do that one. But again, we lock those back in place and now those are set. Those are good to go. Hey, this is me from the future telling you not to forget this next step. You see this guy right here, right? This little electrical cord that we pulled out and we forgot to put back in. Okay, it plugs into there. So if you button all this up before you put this in, you're gonna have to take it all apart again, which I'm gonna do, but I'm not gonna show it to you, okay? But that's what happens when you're doing this yourself. Sometimes you miss a step. There we go, right? So that's gonna go in there. This has to plug in here in the back, okay? And normally I would just plug that in without showing you, but this is a DIY YouTube video. So I'm gonna pull this all back apart and show you how to plug that in. Actually, So this is just gonna run in a channel straight to here and plug in right here. So wiggle that guy through. Right, plug that guy in, and then remember to lock that into place. Pull the keys out now. So there we go, now we have that. Push all this stuff back in, make sure it's where we want it. Okay, we line up, we got some little metal tabs over here. It's gotta go in there, gotta get this out of the way. All right, and now it is time to put our bolts back in. Yeah, got this controller here. So coming back over here, we're gonna grab this controller. Again, T20 bit, 2 screws, right? Now we're gonna take this back over there so we can run our window up. Now, when we're looking at these off-brand or non-OEM panels, about the only thing that I think changes is like quality control. I did notice, you see like the hole doesn't quite line up. The hole here was maybe a millimeter off. Just all that different stuff. So these just slide and lock in. They're all their own size, so you can't really get them in the wrong spot. You just gotta, match up where they belong. Like, right, that guy doesn't go there. This guy goes here somewhere. There we go, right? Okay, I feel like we're missing a couple more. Oh, geez. I need this guy too. See, gotta pay attention. I'm in too much of a hurry. All right, and we don't want to forget this little sensor here. All right, now we have our sensor. I think this is a sensor. Honestly, don't know, but I think it's for the the automatic, like auto down, or I don't know. Could be wrong. Okay, but we are going to plug this guy back in, right? It's got the red on it. There we go. Okay, run this guy back up and around for our speaker. Come on. Okay, this goes in here. Maybe try to push it back into the hole. Okay, just opposite of what we did. Remember, this guy was all weird and it went into this little hook. Fits perfectly on this one. Now, we are ready to roll this thing up. We got all this in here. We got all of our wires hooked up. We got all of our sensors in. Everything is in, all our grommets. We are good. So now we're going to turn the key on. And we're going to roll this up. So you can see, here's our regulators here. They're going to roll up and snap back into that window. So you should hear a pop. All right, now here's the test. We're gonna pull some tape off and we're gonna see if our window works. Yay, yay, it works. Auto down, back up. Cool, I'm happy with that. Pull the rest of this tape off. Neighbor's working on something. There we go. All right, we're gonna finish putting the rest of this door panel back on and get all of our things back up, right, and get our lashes and stuff done, get this put back in. Speaker needs to go back in, and then we should be good to go. So there was a tab that held this into place on the other one, but I'm going to zip tie that. But a little zip tie, hold that in there. Back in over here. hold this into place. Remember, those are just the T20. All right, I'm gonna go pull the handle off, put it on this one. Get this handle off, looks like we have a T20 bit right here. Okay, we're gonna pull that off. And be careful in case the spring wants to fly. All right, so the way this handle works, right, is that little spot. So this spot down in here, okay, that's going to lock into here. So if you're trying to get this off, you need to push in right here with the screwdriver and then pry out on this thing, because it just kind of sits in here like this, right? Screws it from the top, gotta put it in, right? Right? But now it's snapped in there, and you can see kind of back in there. That's where the screwdriver would go. And then up here is just a T20 Torx bit. Right? Like that. I'm gonna pull this guy off. Try not to rip it, just go slow. There we go. Yeah, it goes right back in there like this. All right, pop this guy back in there. All right, now we're ready to put the door panel back on. So if you're like me and you took this weather stripping off, we're gonna put this one back on. Okay. So that just goes on, skinny blade facing the top, right? So we're gonna put that guy on there. Then we're gonna grab our door panel. And to make this easier, I'm gonna pop this grommet off here, and I'm gonna pull this little cover off here that just pulls out. But that makes it easier for the door handle. So you can see the way this mounts, right? These have slots they have to go into right here, right? Down at the bottom, we got these two guys here that are gonna go in here and here, right? And then this whole top lip grabs right in here as well, okay? So now, line up our door lock. All right, and then as long as our door panel holes line up, then we are good. We're gonna put this guy back in. Just goes in this way. Slides in here first, locks in. That grommet back in there. All right, now it's time to button everything up. So in order to put this back in here, we actually need the little molly, or whatever you want to call it, that goes into this hole, and that's still on the old panel. So I'm just squeezing that together and kind of pushing out. I think I got it. There we go. Right, so now we have that guy. So we'll use that to go put that other one in. What you get at this price point, you got to change out a whole bunch of these pieces. So slide this back in here like this. And now this should screw in. Okay, and then we take all these little rivets we popped out, okay, and they're gonna go back into here. You might have to pull and yank and, you know, maneuver this thing around to get them back into the hole. All right, once you get all that in there, fish these guys out, get those guys plugged in, get that guy pushed down in there as good as it goes, because that's about as good as it goes. All right, pop that back on. So let's give it one more shot, one more go. Make sure it works. Auto. Now I just got to come around the front, wipe off all that adhesive that the tape left behind from Gorilla Tape on the way home, and that is it. So if this was helpful, make sure you guys hit that like button. If you have any questions, reach out on Instagram or drop it down in the comments, and you know, I'll get to you. If you're looking for me on Instagram, just, you know, at Road and Reel, and I should pop right up. I'm really good at answering questions there. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribed. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. And because spares never hurt anybody, taking this guy.